It's Michelle from Cozy Egg, and today is Saturday, September 10th, 2022. This is episode 118, and this is a video about primarily cross stitch, a little bit of books, a little bit of ad hoc, whatever I feel like talking about. My hair is wet, so it will probably dry over the course of this video, similar to my very first video that I did on this channel. And I also had an allergic reaction this morning, which is why I'm still a little red here and coughing. And of course I have no drink, so we're just gonna do our best to breathe through it. So today is the full moon. It is the harvest moon. The harvest moon is either in September or October. It depends on which full moon is closer to the autumn equinox. And so this year it is the September moon. So happy new moon, or full moon. Happy harvest moon. It has been about a month since my last video, which is right about typical for me. I did have my birthday was near the end of August, and I did take a week of vacation from work so that I could just work on stuff that I wanted to work on, relax, etc. I did do some work on the haunted dollhouse, as I mentioned in my last video. And I was specifically starting work on the attic and starting to work on the floor. So I did work on that, and I will insert a photo here. It went a lot slower than I expected it to go, to be honest. I'm basically creating a wood floor out of popsicle sticks, as you do, which of course requires cutting the curved ends off of all of those popsicle sticks, which I did. And I created a template out of chipboard for the floor so that I can basically attach the boards to that chipboard rather than to the floor of the dollhouse itself, so that I can then remove it if I need to do, like when I want to do electricity or whatever else later. So I got my template cut. I got my boards cut, and then and I've sort of figured out my pattern of the flooring, and then my next step is I need to then sand all of those ends and then glue them down to the chipboard stain. So I only got as far as getting everything cut, but it's a step forward. So I'm happy about that because I have not worked on the haunted dollhouse in quite some time. If you are new to the whole haunted dollhouse concept, I have a playlist on my channel of videos that are just specific to the haunted dollhouse. There's only 2 or 3 of them, so feel free to watch those, get caught up where we're at. And then as soon as I, get a little further on the flooring, I will probably, put together another video so that you can see kind of what that whole process looks like. But I'm pleased with the progress that I made. I had hoped, like I said, to get a little further, but it is what it is. And there was something a little bit cathartic about just sawing the ends off of popsicle sticks, I'll be honest. So anyway, worked on that. And I did have a birthday start, which I will show you here momentarily. And, I just generally tried to just kind of chill, to be honest. I didn't have any big plans. I just wanted to kind of, relax and work on, a few little projects that I wanted to work on, which is exactly what I did. One afternoon, Eric was gone to go see one of his clients, and I just sat on the couch with Tut on my lap and watched some Gilmore Girls and just chilled, which was perfect. That was absolutely what I needed to do. So, yeah, so Dollhouse floor and just chilled. And of course, now it's September. Last week was a 4-day week because of the Labor Day holiday. And so I really have no idea what day it is, honestly. Just no clue. But that's okay. So, and it is, of course, Sampler September as well, which is kind of exciting. And I actually, I watched Carol Saltbuck Stitcher's video a couple of days ago. And my favorite part about her video was, and I think she did this last year too, was she showed kind of a parade of sampler finishes that had been framed. And so of course I was just, it was like almost everyone that she showed, I needed to stitch. And I may have taken some screenshots. So yeah, it's like Sarah Redfern and the Smith sampler, Lotta Scarlet House, and Sarah Elizabeth Brooke and Jane Tyndall, and GGR's The Red Deer, Scarlet House, Rachel Howells, Esther Edison, Isabella Fox. I was like, yeah, I want to stitch that and that and that and that and that and this other thing. So, I also watched Olivia B., who I always enjoy and appreciate her videos. And I appreciate also that she has basically become a monogamous stitcher. I'm probably as close to that as you can be without actually being a monogamous stitcher. So I tend to just switch between 2 or 3 projects. And so I kind of appreciate that about her. She did show some fall charts that had her, thinking about fall stitching, which was fun. And I'll be honest, I went, like, after watching those 2 videos, I kind of went a little nuts, and I started digging through my stash and pulled out a whole bunch of like fall charts and then a whole bunch of like sampler charts, what I would stitch if I was going to start something. And then I kind of went on this whole, thing where I started window shopping, and just started making myself a list of all of these things, all of these charts that I want. And I actually got to, I'm not sure how I got there because this was a number of different leaps, but I got to looking at some charts from, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Allergic reaction. I got to looking at charts from the Sampler Girl, and back in my kind of the beginning of my blog days, maybe 2007, 2008-ish, I was stitching a bunch of Sampler Girl stuff. I loved her pieces, her, Jane Austen pieces. I've stitched several of those. I stitched a piece called Camille Sampler that is framed and hanging in my bedroom. And I actually stitched that in Vicki Clayton silk. She had a silk pack for it way back in the day. And so I just sort of fell down the rabbit hole of, looking at some of her pieces and sort of nostalgically remembering, how much I enjoyed stitching her work. Then she kind of moved into, knitting, and I think that's sort of where I, fell off. But what came up for me was, I've been thinking a whole lot about the good old blog days. And Vana had posted something the other day on Facebook, and that's kind of what started me thinking about it. Was, I know Vana. We used to blog, at the same time, and so there are people that I remember from those blog days that I feel like we have sort of this kinship, because we were all sort of there together when this whole cross stitch blogging thing was really happening. And so I've been thinking a lot about blogging. I've also been having to do some conversions on some of my old blog posts, and so I've been like back in the archives, so to speak. So I really got to thinking about one of the things that I really loved about the Sampler Girls blog is that it was very intentional and beautiful. And, she talked about books and movies and Jane Austen and tea. And, there was just something about her blog that just really kind of hooked me. And there were a number of other blogs at the time, not all cross-stitch blogs, but a number of other blogs at the time that had that same sort of vibe to it, just what I would describe as lovely. And, I was kind of missing that. Like I said, I was sort of feeling a bit nostalgic. And as the social media platforms are pushing everyone towards reels and short video clips and things that will that people can easily digest and then move on from, I've really been longing for more of that intention and that slowing down and that depth of feeling and thinking about things and sharing those deep thoughts and just sort of curating a whole just kind of intentional, lovely, cozy vibe, right? And I have tried to do it myself, not always to great success, but you know, I really, that's something that just calls to me, that just really resonates with me. And so I started, trying to look for, people that were doing videos that are like that. And because what I am finding lately is videos that are, lots of haul, lots of starts, lots of gifts, lots of, stuff, make me feel a little bit manic. And as I was sort of going through this whole, thinking about all of this stuff and this sort of revelation, I realized that's exactly what I was doing. Like I was, pulling charts and thinking about, all these things that I want to start, and shopping, window shopping. And, it was just sort of like, you need to take a step back because I was just getting wound up in this sort of frenzy. And, I love, seeing people's haul and seeing people's starts and what have you as much as the next person. But some of it was just leaving me feeling like something was missing for me, maybe. And again, this is nothing, I'm not being derogatory at all towards anyone's videos, etc. This is about, I just want to share what's going on with me. So in defending myself now, I feel like I've lost my train of thought. So anyway, so I started looking for videos that kind of fit that criteria, that were intentional, that were maybe slower paced, that were maybe, that were lovely and cozy and just had that sort of vibe that I'm craving right now. I started even looking for vlogs, because I kind of love, the whole vlog concept and getting those little snapshots, of people's lives. And what I found is there's a whole lot on YouTube that are silent vlogs that are just, sort of these lovely images with some music, no talking, which are beautiful, but not really something that I can super enjoy while I'm stitching. So I'm kind of left at this, place of, I'm still, sort of yearning for, looking for something that sort of fits that bill. So if you have a recommendation, I would love to hear it. I've mentioned before a YouTube channel that I'm going to call Beltane Cottage, but that is an incorrect pronunciation. It's like Beltane. That is a beautiful, lovely channel, and absolutely adore it. I love watching her videos. So yeah, so if you have any recommendations that you think might fit those parameters, that would be great. All right, let's get into the stitching. So back to what I was doing. All right, so what have I worked on since the last time I saw you? I had some time stitching with my friends, where I typically stitch on Egypt Garden, my chatelaine, and so I made some more progress on that. So here is where I'm at. So I don't remember exactly where it was the last time you saw it, but I, had finished all of the lotus flowers. I'd done this outline. I had done these little dark blue squiggles, and I'd come back in and did this, dark stuff on the edges. And then the last time I was with them, I did this fill-in. So I really love how this looks with this midnight silk. And I left spaces for where the beads go. There's beads that go right there. There's beads that go on here. Unfortunately, when I first stitched it, I forgot to leave these spaces, so I had to go back in and do surgery on these floor flowers. But really happy with how that looks. Got that whole quadrant filled in. So next time I work on it, I will work on filling in the next quadrant. But I love this. I love how this looks. So this is Chatelaine Designs Egypt Garden. It is stitched in a variety of DMC and silks and metallics, petite treasure braid, Rainbow Gallery petite treasure braid in the fish. You can see the sparkle, and it will have beads and crystals at some point. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Days Gone By Silk Weaver, old Silk Weaver. So love it. Then I picked up His Eyes on the Sparrow and worked on that. I did not get super far, but progress nonetheless. And I have it out of the Q-snap, so I thought I'd show you the whole thing, even though it has not been ironed. So here is what I worked on. I think I worked on this crown and this bird and got those two things done, as well as working on that bottom border and bringing it across. And here is the whole thing. And I'm stitching this on 48 count Gonder linen that was hand dyed. I did change my house color. Since then, several other people have changed their house colors. But I'm quite pleased with how that looks. And I am using the called for overdyed threads. Mine just looks super dark and saturated because it's on 48 count. So. So that's where I'm at on that. And I worked on that until dark 13 stitching / the full moon cell. And then I got out Moonsick by Primitive Needle. Oh, and I guess I haven't really been showing you the charts. So this is Moonsick. That's what the whole thing will look like. I just really have this bottom section to do. This is an out of print chart, and it called for silken colors, but I've basically just done my own conversion to silks. And I'm doing it on 40 count Duxbury. So that's where I'm at. I'll just fold this. That's where I'm at. So I finished the whole alphabet, got that moon in there, did the little border, brought down the outside border, and I'm ready to do that bottom section like I showed you. I did rearrange the colors on the letters because it bugs me when there's two of the same color next to each other. So I did rearrange a little bit. And one of the colors that it calls for is variegated between like a green and a gray. And I am instead using two separate threads. One is gray and one is more green. You can see the green here. And so because of that, I had, two colors to work into this section. So that was the other piece. But I'm really happy with how it's looking so far. I'm anxious to get to that bottom piece. And I am picking this up tonight for the full moon cell. And I will work on that for a few days until dark 13 stitching. When I put that down, I was going to go back to Sparrow, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I picked up a piece that I had started a while ago, and then I set it aside because I wasn't sure that the colors were working on the fabric. And I decided to just go ahead with it and see how it went. Because I thought maybe when I get more of the colors in there, it'll be fine. So I picked this up again. This is the Cecropia Moth by Whistle Stop Stitcher Designs. This is a freebie that she has available. And it just calls for DMC. I was going to do a conversion to overdyes, and I started pulling or looking at threads and realized two things. One, I did not have any overdyes that were anywhere close to the color of this orangey red that it calls for. And two, that I somehow have run out of all overdyed black threads that I have that have any sort of variegation to them. I need to rectify that immediately because that is a problem. I mean, black threads. So here's where I'm at. I actually did a good amount on this. When I picked it up, I had basically this part right here minus the white in there, and it sort of looked like a dragon. But So I've basically gotten this whole wing done. Well, not done, but that's what I've worked on. And I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. I think it's fine on this fabric. Maybe this gray needs to change. But other than that, I think the rest of it is fine. And I'm stitching this on 40 count anthracite by Zweigart. So this will look perfect with my other moths that I have planned to stitch. So I really enjoyed stitching on this. I was a little sad to have to put it away, honestly. But I put it away to start my birthday start. So this will be coming out again at some point, and I just don't know exactly when, but super thrilled with that. So then birthday start. I have my chart on here, so give me a second to move this. So I did decide to start the model stitch for my Bristol sampler that I'm reproducing. And here's where I'm at. I did get almost the whole top row done. There's some over here that you can't see. But I'm really loving how the Soie Surfine is looking on this 56 count linen. I'm not having any trouble stitching on the 56 count. It's going quite well. My only comment is this is Fox and Rabbit Hog's Bristle. Now I have seen other Hog's Bristle that looks more brown and has some variegation in it. Mine does not. In fact, mine almost looks pink, and it is hard to see, but when I look at it up close in my light, there is actually pink in this. It's not super in your face. You have to get it in the right light. But there's definitely pink to this. And with the red thread, I think it's definitely bringing out that pink. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's fine. And I don't have the money to buy another piece of fabric, so. But I specifically chose the Hog's Bristle in 56 count because I thought it would be really beautiful with this kind of muted red silk. But it is not what I envisioned when I opened it up out of the package and really looked at it. And maybe that's because 56 count takes dye differently than 40 count does. But like, you know, when I was watching Carol's video the other day and she showed her piece of Hog's Bristle, and I was like, mine looks way different. Way different. So yeah, but we're just gonna keep on, but I'm happy with how this is looking. And I'm really thrilled that I started this. So that was my birthday start. And that's basically what I've been working on since then. So, plans. I am going to continue to work on Jane Ann, of course, because that's a model. Like I said, I am going to pick up Moonsick tonight and work on that for a few days for the full moon cell. And then the next piece that I have to work on is, I mentioned the primitive hair sabbat pieces. The next one that I need to do is Mabon, which is for September 21st, so I need to get on it. And we won't talk about the fact that my Lemas piece is still not FFO'd. But this is the one that is charted with grapes on it, and I saw a stitcher that replaced the grapes with an apple, which I absolutely loved, and I am going to have to go back and look to see who that was that did this. If it was you, please let me know. But I absolutely fell in love with it, and so I recharted it with an apple, and I love how it looks. So this is basically what it's going to look like. And then I am going to do it on this 40 count doubloon by Picture This Plus, which I think will be pretty. And then I picked some overdyed. So I just needed 4. So I chose Weeks Grapevine for the dark brown. I chose Weeks Pecan for those little acorns. I chose Weeks Scuppermong for the green. And then I chose Gentle Art Ruby Slipper for the apple. So I think that'll be pretty. And I think I am going to start this for Dark 13 stitching because it needs to get started so that it can get finished. So that's the plan. And the other thing I need to make sure that I do is the giveaway. So I had this From the Deep piece to give away. Plum Street Samplers. This is an old chart that was passed along to me by a stitcher, and so I am passing it along to someone else. And so I did the random number generator, and the winner is I Swear I Am Stitching. So I have reached out to that person, and we'll get their info and pass this along. So congratulations. And yeah, I have been reading, of course. I've read a whole bunch of stuff. Continuing on with my Black Dagger Brotherhood, and I am actually at the last book that I need to read for that until the new ones come out, but I'm working on the last book at the moment, and then I'm going to take a break and read some other things before I dive into something else. I am, because of course it's September, it's fall, I'm feeling a dark academia pull. So I'm going to dig through and find some books to read that kind of fit that vibe, because that is definitely what I am in the mood for. So that's my plan. Like I said, I was kind of on a time crunch today, so I may have talked a little bit fast because we're only at like 40 minutes, which is okay. But I think that's all that I have for today. And I would, again, absolutely appreciate if you have any recommendations for videos, stitching or not, that you recommend that kind of fit with that vibe of what I'm feeling, what I'm looking for. Intentional, lovely, cozy. you know, that whole thing. So I think that's it for me. And I appreciate you liking, subscribing, returning, tagging me in your posts, etc. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's it. So enjoy your stitching, enjoy your sampler September, and let me know what you're doing to be intentional this fall. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.